So obviously he's a big boy now.
Yeah.
How much does he weigh?
I don't remember the last time they weighed him. He got his
You can relax a little
neutered.
bit. He's looking about like 70 or 80
Yeah, he's pretty heavy.
because he looks bigger than my pit. My pit's about 55, 60.
Okay.
And he's got a little bit more muscle tone than her. He's definitely got a little bit of a bigger head.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's a year now.
He's a year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Time flies, huh?
Yeah.
Are you experiencing any behavioral stuff at home, or is it?
Just it's not too bad, but it's just like that right there, like him jumping on us.
Sure.
Like we kind of constantly have to tell him not to.
Sure.
But before we brought him, he was like, it was really bad. Like it was just like the biting and the like all that. You guys, I think it did a big difference. But now it's just, I think him just being dog,
Yeah.
like, excited
And
stuff.
he's sturdy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotcha.
But other than that, he's kind of a good dog. He digs now, and that's kind of something we call the digging in the backyard.
Sure.
He intends to chew on stuff like plastics or whatever he finds. So
Has he eaten anything?
does
Like
he?
plastic or anything? Or is it
You know
just
what?
chew?
The one time I saw him poop, it was just like cotton.
Oh, wow.
Because he
Yeah, yeah.
destroys his like
Toys.
He finds my daughter's toys, and he'll just
Macy?
like any chance that he gets.
Yep.
He'll grab the stuffed animals, and he'll destroy them. Like if we don't keep an eye, he'll try to get whatever he finds. He loves those things.
Yeah.
Other than that, just like that, see like him always wanting to play.
Yeah.
Constantly. That's him right there.
I gotcha. Yeah, all this is fairly typical.
Right.
Right now, at a year, he's in what you'd call the teenager phase.
Okay.
So for dogs, when we get them from puppies, they have 3 periods where they go through like kind of personality changes. 6 months is one of them. 6 months is like the terrible twos phase.
Oh, that's crazy.
So brain is like
That's
terrible
funny.
twos.
Yeah.
Body is teenager body.
Yeah.
At a year, we get teenager brain, adult body, so they start to
Okay.
fill out. At 2 years, you get adult dog.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So that's how they would mature. But the brain matures slowly than the body.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So at 2 years, is typically when you get your dog.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what happens is when we get dogs that have behavioral issues,
Mm-hmm.
they will happen around 6 months or a year are the most common.
Okay.
You
And
know,
what's like something that to be concerned, or what's the normal, or is all that stuff I said was normal?
yeah, it's all normal.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that if it starts to become, like obviously we don't want aggression or anything like that.
Yeah. No,
So
he doesn't. That's one thing. He's not like he doesn't growl or like unless it's somebody in a hoodie or it's dark and he.
Sure.
But it's
Suspicious.
not like I've seen other dogs that are just constantly growling and like they get scared. But him, everyone in the neighborhood loves to pet him and he's good, but he just gets
He's
a little
over the
hyper.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scared of dogs.
Yeah, oh, really? That's funny. So the only thing we would watch with like the fear of other dogs
Yeah.
is that fear could become reactivity.
Okay.
Do you know what reactivity is?
Is it like kind of like reacting towards it, like
Lunging
getting
and
aggressive?
barking. Yeah.
Okay.
So when we see the lunging and barking, it doesn't always mean the dog's aggressive. It's happening for a reason.
Okay.
Okay. For puppies, when we see that, it's usually frustration. So the puppy wants to say hi to the dog. They can't get to the dog, so they get frustrated. So they start being reactive to outlet that frustration. Right. Let's say with him, if a dog approaches and he gets scared, over time, possibly, that fear starts to outlet itself as reactivity because he's trying to tell the dog, like, get away from me.
Okay.
I'm scared. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's not because reactivity doesn't always mean the dog is aggressive.
Oh, I see.
It's just it's the dog's way of outletting the stress in the moment.
Gotcha.
And then there's the reason, like we have to find the reason behind it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So at a year, most likely we're not going to see that behavior. Okay? But it's not a guarantee, unfortunately, because
Okay.
it's an animal.
Gotcha.
Because typically, especially with pitties, most people start to see the reactivity at 6 months. Okay? Because of that terrible twos brain. Is their puppy will be great with all dogs or whatever. And then at 6 months, they're like, man, Jesse, it was like, once my dog turned 6 months, they started lunging and barking at dogs. Like
I
it's
see.
like a
Right.
switch.
Yeah.
In other cases, it can be at a year. But with pitties, from my experience, very common that it's younger. So the fact that he's already a year, we haven't seen that behavior yet, kind of puts me to lean towards like probably not going to happen. Now, let's say you're walking him on the leash, a dog approaches him, he starts to like move away, whatever, and that dog became aggressive, right? That could then trigger him, and then the next day, he's reactive to dogs.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that can happen too. It's like that nature versus nurture type of thing.
Yeah.
Right? So right now he's getting frustrated because I'm not allowing him to do what he wants to do.
Right.
Right? So like he wants to go to you. He also wants to be all over the place, and I'm telling him to sit still.
Right.
See how he's starting to get anxious here?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So this is what we would call overstimulation. It's the brain's inability to relax. Okay. It's very common, especially with pitties. That can also potentially become a problem because what happens is the brain's constantly having to do something is that it gets frustrated because at some point you're like, yo, I can't do something with you all the time.
Okay.
Right? So then the dog starts to bark at you because it's demanding like we need to do something. Sometimes you get frustration nipping because they're like, yeah, like that's how they initiate play sometimes with each other. They'll nip, right?
Yes.
And they'll do this.
Yes.
But then for the human, it's like, oh, I don't want that, right? Because we don't have fur, so that hurts.
Right.
So then the overstimulation can also potentially in time become reactivity because when the dog is overstimulated, they're under some level of stress, okay? Because they can't relax. So it starts to stress them out. So then they're what's called over threshold. So threshold is, you ever had like where you have a day and it starts off kind of bad?
Yeah.
And then another thing happens, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe someone says something to you and then you just pop off. Right?
Right.
Because you were over threshold.
Right.
Right. It's not related to them.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Exactly. So what happens is these guys are over threshold. Then they see a dog, they get frustrated, and they pop off at the dog, not because they're aggressive, but because they're frustrated.
Right.
I don't want to slip over his head.
No, Guapo. No.
So I'm gonna do something real quick.
No, Guapo.
Yeah, I
You
know.
broke the other rope.
Yeah, I saw this one. Looks like a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice
Yeah,
one.
he chewed off the other one.
Yeah. I know, bud. So that right there, you see how he shook right there?
Yeah.
That's called a stress shake. Because he's getting stressed out right now.
Right.
So to let
No.
it go, they
No.
shake. There you go. I know, buddy. 1 second. I need a little bit more control over you because you are definitely a little bit of a powerhouse.
He wants to constantly play.
Yeah, I know. There we go. Okay.
It's on
It's okay. Yeah, 1 sec. I know. 1 sec.
Not as in his
I know. 1 sec. Okay. There we go. Good. So yeah, so all this, the teething is frustration, right?
So,
'Cause-
so he's still teething, right? Or no?
No.
That's it, right?
no,
Okay.
that's just frustration.
Oh, okay.
Teething was done a long time ago.
Oh, you mean like the I get you.
Yeah, like this.
Gotcha.
This is all frustration. You see that? So because I'm trying to gain more control over him,
Yeah.
he's trying to resist.
Right.
Yeah. So this here just gives me a bit more control over him because the collar you have here is a little bit too loose that he can slip out of it.
Right.
There we go. So this here, what I'm doing isn't the training. This is just trying to get him dialed down so that we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes. Good. So all of this here, this nipping, is him getting pent up.
Like, let's do something, right?
Yes, exactly. But I'm just being neutral because like you're guapo, right? Stop. No,
Right.
relax.
Right.
You can hear the energy, right?
Okay.
So then he's up here, and then you're getting up here, and then we tend to get frustrated,
Oh.
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now we're just kind of feeding off each other, and we make the situation worse,
I got you.
right? So in order for me to influence him, if I want him to be calm, I have to be calm, okay? Are you familiar with Cesar Milan,
No.
the dog whisperer?
No, I've heard of him.
Yeah,
Is
Me-
it the
Mexican guy,
the
you know?
Latino guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him.
So he came out like back in the early 2000s, whatever. But he's my first influence.
Okay.
Okay. So technically, like what I'm doing right now is Cesar Milan, right? So I don't have any training tools at the moment, right? This is just kind of information. But if I need to control the dog, I need to have something available to me, right? So here, if we control the head, then we have a more impact on controlling the body, okay? And then the more I do this with him, where it's like I don't allow him to have what he wants, he starts to realize, well, that's not an option, that's not an option, that's not an option. And then we start to see the brain calm down, okay? But because he's so used to being this way, it's gonna take a longer time for him to de-escalate, because this is a limited tool. You know, there's different tiers. So like, when he was a puppy, we did food. That's the lowest tier training there is, okay? But it's for puppies. It's real basic stuff, you know, sit, stay, whatever. Food, if the dog doesn't do it, not a big deal, right? But then once they start to hit 6 months or a year, that's when I tell clients we do the big boy training, right? So that's where we use like the e-collar and the prong collar and stuff. So like, let's say Guapo was playing with the dog, right? And that dog tried to mount him, and Guapo didn't like it, right? What do you think he would do to tell the dog to stop?
Bark.
Bark, what else?
Maybe attack back or no?
Bite, right?
Right.
But that's not making him aggressive.
Okay.
That's how they communicate,
Okay.
right? Now, if he just snaps at the dog like this and the dog backs off and they continue to play, then he got the point across.
Okay.
You see that? Now, some dogs would overcorrect, where they become over aggressive, right? So the dog's still trying to correct, but they're doing it inappropriately. That makes sense, right? So like me, I was raised old school, so I was spanked growing up. So like, let's say if I didn't do my homework, right? Maybe I get grounded for a week or something, right? It's a tiny thing. But let's say I didn't do my homework and then my mom spanked me for an hour straight. You're like, wow, that seems kind of crazy for just skipping a homework assignment, right? Like it's disproportionate. Same thing for the dog. So some dogs are calculated and they'll correct correctly. Other dogs will miscalculate and they overcorrect. Okay, so it becomes like more so aggressive.
Okay.
So like right now, when I was kind of wrestling with him, trying to get him to sit still and stuff, right? And you can see how he like does stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
Yes. To a degree, that's like a correction. He's like, who are you to do that to me, right? When he was biting at the leash and all that stuff,
Yeah.
that's him trying to control the situation. And I just kind of wrote it out, continued to do what I was doing, kind of ignoring him, and more so have a conversation with you.
Right.
But now you see how he's just starting to settle,
Yeah.
right? And that took me approximately about 10 minutes because of what I'm using here, right? I'm able to do this because I've been working with dogs for 15 years. I come from Cesar Milan methodology. So I don't need the training tools. The client needs the training tools.
Right.
Right? Because I learned how to, it took me about 2 years to learn how to do Cesar Milan stuff,
Okay.
like on my own. And I was doing it all the time. I had 5 dogs at a point, right? So I was doing pack walks. And I dedicated time to do that. People don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, they're like, I just want my dog to be trained and my dog to listen, you know. So that'd be the difference. Like, this isn't anything that you would do.
Right.
This is just a Band-Aid fix so that we can have a conversation and he's just not all over the place.
Right.
So are you familiar with like the prong collar, e-collar tools?
Yes, I've seen some videos on it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what the technology of an e-collar is?
Yeah. Well, I had ordered one and it has the shock and it has the vibration and it has the beeping.
Okay. Did you ever feel the shock?
I have not felt the
not?
shock. No.
Did you get off Amazon?
No, I think it was, yes, it was Amazon.
Was it like $80?
I saw it on TikTok and then it was a green one. I have the picture if you want to see
Oh yeah,
it.
let me see.
Oh, we do? Okay. Yeah, show the orange one. So we also have this one.
Sure. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So this here is more in lines of what we'd call like a shock collar.
Okay.
Okay. The difference is professional grade e-collars are like miniaturized TENS units.
Okay.
Are you familiar with TENS unit?
No, I'm not.
You ever been to a chiropractor, physical therapist?
Yes.
Have you ever had the machine that moves your muscles?
Yes.
That's a TENS unit.
Oh, okay.
So a professional grade e-collar feels just like a TENS unit.
Okay.
This is definitely nicer than the ones that I've seen, but I can already tell you, looking at it, that this is a low quality e-collar.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one, it has everything that one does. The other one does. It's the same thing.
Sure, it's just
in case
different
you were
color or
wondering.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably the same.
So the difference is how the stimulation is delivered. Okay. So when we talk about shock collar, the reason why people refer to it as shock is because of the word electric, right? Electric collar, but it's not electricity.
Okay.
Okay. The technology is electric, but it's not electricity. So it's not like sticking your finger in an outlet.
Okay.
It's like your TENS unit, right? Where
Okay.
it's centralized. There's electric stuff going on,
Okay.
but it's only stimulating where there's contact,
I
right?
see.
Yes. With these, the way that they feel is drastically different.
Okay.
So I had a client a long time ago. They had already pre-bought an e-collar. So I put it in my hand. I'm like, let me try it out. I was like, if it works, then we'll use it or whatever. It was on 4 out of 100. And on 4, when they pressed the button, my hand went like that. Okay.
Wow.
And I was like, if 4 out of 100 does that,
Yeah.
I don't even want to feel anything else.
Yeah.
I would need to be at 100 to get that kind of response on my e-collar.
Right.
It's much more refined.
I see what you're saying.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Okay. So for the dog, the way they interpret it, it's drastically different. So you'd want to get a professional grade e-collar, which
Okay.
I help you with all that stuff.
Yeah.
So most of the time when we think of these tools, we tend to think of them as punishers. Okay. Oh, Guapo's chewing on plastic. Shock him, right? And it's yes and no. A lot of his behaviors are most likely frustration based because he's overstimulated and he constantly needs something to do, right? As he's seeking out things. So, plastic to chew on or whatever it is, right? Barking at you, nipping at your pants, like, hey, pay attention to me, right? It's all frustration because he's like, I need to do something. So we need the brain to calm down.
Right.
Once the brain calms down, all of a sudden you're like, oh, he stopped chewing on my shoes. He stopped trying to bite at my pants, right?
Right.
Because now he's more relaxed. And it takes more for him to get to that kind of overstimulated state. Okay.
Right.
So that's where big boy training comes into play. So the prong collar, which is a spiky looking collar, you've probably seen it like on other dogs.
I used to have another pit way when I was younger, and I remember I
Having
had
one
that.
of that, yeah.
I had that. It was like it has like little. It's a collar, right? It's
Yeah.
just a silver like metal, whatever.
Correct, with like the links
And
or whatever.
when you pull it pulls in.
Correct.
The little spikes or whatever.
Do you know why it looks like that?
I'm assuming you kind of pull on it for him not to go more like pull on you or something like that.
To a degree, but why it looks the way it looks?
Oh, not sure.
It's meant to mimic a dog bite.
Oh, is it?
Yes. So those things, those spikes.
Oh, okay,
Are
that makes
like
sense.
teeth. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot of people don't. When you see them, and including me, when I first started trading 15 years ago, I was completely against prong collars, e-collars, all that stuff. I was
Right.
positive only.
Yeah.
And then, because I work for PetSmart, and that's what they
Okay.
teach you. So like, if you were to show up to PetSmart, right, and you're like, hey, I want the shock collar, right?
Yeah.
It was my job to say, oh, don't do the shock collar. Train with us instead using treats only.
I see.
Okay. But I had common sense, right, and an open mind, and I started to realize, like, well, the food is great for puppies and stuff, but if I got like a dog, like if you brought me Guapo, right, I would have to do food because that's what they do, right, at PetSmart.
Right.
But he would need a different tool,
Gotcha.
right? So the prong collar, a lot of people see it. It looks menacing. It looks bad. It looks like, oh, like you're just hurting the dog. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's literally
yeah.
meant to mimic a dog
Yeah.
bite. Okay. Because again, if a dog tries to mount Guapo and he doesn't like it, he'll do
Right.
that. That's not making him aggressive. He's
Right.
just saying like, don't try to mount me, dude. Right? Imagine if you're on the sidewalk and some stranger try to mount you. Like, are you
Right.
not going to try to be like, hey, get off of me?
Right,
You know what I mean?
right, of course.
So it's appropriate to the situation. So with the prong collar, it's a great tool. It's more of a language he understands. The problem is some dogs are so intense or they're so resilient and so tough that you could give him the harshest yank to bite him, doesn't care about it.
Right.
Okay, because they're meant to bite each other, and you can only go so intense, right,
Gotcha.
when you pull the leash. There's also skill involved. A lot of people don't know how to correct correctly.
Yeah.
So that's another skill you have to learn.
Yeah.
With the e-collar, it's like a bite on a button is how I refer to it because it's just a contraction. But let's say Guapo's number was 40, right? If you press the button at 40 or if your son presses the button at 40, it's the same.
Gotcha.
There's no difference, right?
Right.
Like when I work with couples, when it's like a husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, the husband, the man, can do the correction strong enough, but when the wife tries to do it, it's not the same level of
the
strength.
same,
So dog's
right.
like, all right, I want to listen to you, but I'm not going to listen to you.
Oh, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So with the e-collar, don't matter,
Right.
right? 65, 65, it's all the same.
Right.
As long as you press that button. And in some cases, typically in couples, one person is going to be more passive than the other.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's usually one more person that's more assertive, one person that's a passive, right?
Right.
Is sometimes if with the passive owner, their number might be higher, than the other owner who's more assertive
Wow.
to compensate for that softness.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
So like,
yes.
so if the dog, one person can be 25, but then the more passive person might be 65 because they're trying to compensate for the fact that they're a softer personality.
Wow,
So it
yeah.
also allows me to fix things like that, and all I got to do is just change the number. Okay?
Right.
So in my opinion, e-collar is the best training tool. Since I started my business, I've been working with dogs 15 years, but about 12 to 13 years ago is when I officially started like dog training as canine perspective. Every dog that comes to me over 6 months, e-collar. Okay, because I know it's going to get me off leash control. It's the easiest tool for anybody to understand. I don't have to worry. I've had clients, they're like 70 years old. They buy a 120-pound German Shepherd. Right? I'm like, why would you get a 120-pound German Shepherd? You're 70 years old, right? So I got to fix that problem.
Yeah.
Right? But because of e-collar,
Right.
it just means they probably might have a higher number.
Yep.
So it's just the most consistent. And then like when we do our board and trains and stuff, like when I have a dog that got dropped off earlier today. It's a great day. He's 9 months, maybe like 100 pounds. The wife is like super small. You know, you drag her across the street.
Right.
You know, e-collar's gonna fix all that stuff.
Nice.
So now with Guapo here, what were you trying to do? Like an in-person type thing? Are you trying to do like a board and train or the daycare like you did the puppy?
That's what I wasn't sure what. I guess it depends on what I want him to do, right? Like what I mean, I would love to have him like really well trained, but what does it take? Like how
time-wise?
Yeah, time wise. Like
So with the in-person stuff,
what do you recommend? Like
it just depends on your schedule, right? Because I get clients who are like super busy and stuff. There's pros and cons to everything.
Right.
Okay. With the in-person, the pro is you learn everything yourself. The training is right away tied to you because I'm training you to train Guapo, right?
Right,
And then you
right.
go off and you do your homework. So that's the pro.
okay.
The con is takes longer,
Yeah.
right? So I tell clients think of 1 week of our time is like 3 weeks of your time.
Yeah. Now, do you do like I was gonna ask, because I'm really busy. I own like a limo company.
Okay.
So I'm always either dispatching or I'm out there working myself. So I'm really busy. So but I was thinking maybe we can do like one day I can be here, or do you just recommend just to pick one? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when we do our in-persons, it's just 1 day a week for an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you do your homework for the week, right? So there's going to be homework, but the
see.
homework is: do you walk Guapo?
Yes, we try to. Like if I'm home, but if they do, my kids and
Okay.
my
On average, how often would you say you walk Guapo a day?
probably twice.
For us, it's like every day.
Yeah, well, twice because I do it in the mornings. I
Okay.
try to do it in the mornings.
Okay.
And then and my wife does it, so twice.
Okay, twice. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when you're training Guapo,
Yeah.
right? So as you live your life with them is when you're training.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like, yes, there's certain things that we need to set time for, like to do training sessions. But once I teach you how to teach Guapo, like how to walk without pulling, every time you would walk him, you're doing that training.
Okay.
And eventually he gets trained and he's able to walk without pulling.
Okay.
Right? Let's say you want Guapo, like earlier I was working with the client to go to the dog bed, to sit there for as long as she wants. Let's say you're home from work, or maybe you're working from home, right? You take Guapo's bed, you pop it next to your computer, you tell him to go to his bed, and as you're working, he's training.
I see what
You
you're
see,
saying.
like he's learning, okay, dad's
Right.
working right now, I
Right.
don't move for the next 2 hours, whatever that length of time is.
Gotcha.
So the only command that requires effort is recall, which is come when called, because in order to practice come here, you usually have to be like at a park or something, right?
Okay.
Now, if you have a yard, that's perfectly fine too. You can use your yard. The only issue is he'll learn how to do come when called in the yard, which is different than like at the park.
I see.
You see that? So then you
Because
have to go
of
to the context.
all the stuff that's happening around, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So in order for us to get that, we have to go to the park and practice in that kind of.
Now, let's say if I do the daycare, like just bring them in and pick them up. You guys do that stuff as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Take them to the park and stuff
So
like that.
the pro to that is that we get more done in a shorter amount of time. Like I said, like 3 weeks of your time is 1 week of our time.
Right.
We also get way more done. So like it'll take me, for example, like approximately 9 classes to teach you to teach him everything. Sit, stay down, come play seal.
Yeah.
We do that in a week. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd rather do that.
So
I'm really busy. I mean, you can imagine my son. I'm just constantly on the phone.
I get you. Yeah.
It's crazy. And
Now the con is the training is with us. We have to transfer the training to you, right? So
Okay.
regardless of anything that you do,
you still have to.
you still have homework.
Right.
The difference is Guapo
Right.
already knows how to do everything,
Right.
but now you're learning.
Practicing it with him at home.
Exactly. So it's like if you get a new vehicle and it's got like all these new features and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you don't just get in the vehicle and know what to do.
Right.
You have to read the manual, know the buttons and all that stuff, right?
Right.
And then you can use those features.
Right.
Same thing for Guapo. He comes home, he's got all these features, and it's like, okay, how do we use them?
Right.
What happens if he makes a mistake? How do we correct it? Like those things. So then Guapo
Okay.
goes, okay, they trained me how to do this stuff, and you guys don't also how to do all this stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So the biggest thing, another kind of con to the board and trains or the daycare and trains, is that like, for example, I have a dog right now. She's doing a 4-week board and train, so that's fully trained, right? Off leash.
Wow.
She's very anxious and she's very flighty because she gets scared. So if you take her outside, you see her and she's just scared of everything.
Really?
Okay. Because of that, her number is very high. Out of 127, her number is like 85.
Okay.
She also has a very soft owner. So I anticipate when the owner picks up the dog, she's going to have a hard time with the number, right?
I
Because
see what you're saying.
logically, they're going, it's 80 out of 120.
Right,
That's
right.
very high. And I go, yes, but the dog's not being hurt. The dog is just so scared. In order for her to focus, you have to be high enough that it overrides her fear.
Right.
Okay. For Guapo, let's say he's just a very tough dog, right? And you're like, and I do the training and I explain everything in the video. I record the stuff and I send it to you so you can see how it works. And if he ends up being at like, let's say he's 90, you will see the process. I start low.
Wow, yeah.
And then we work up, and then you go, okay, Jesse started at 15, but Guapo didn't start listening until he was at 90. It makes sense to you,
Right.
But then if you take Guapo and then you email me like, hey, Jesse, Guapo's not listening, guess the first thing I'm going to ask is,
What's the number?
what's the number?
Yeah.
What's the number? Oh, I'm at 65. You're not at 90, right? That's why he's not listening.
Gotcha.
You see that? I already know like what people.
Right, yeah,
say.
yeah, of
I've done
course.
this for so long.
Right.
Like I already know all of the
Yeah.
issues. And if the client's like, no, that's not a problem, I go, great, then I can help you.
Right.
Because I can't predict his number. Just because he's a pit, just because he's solid, he's a sturdy guy. So Brody, who else is talking about? 80, right? About a 70-pound dog. I got a 100 pound Great Dane that got dropped off this morning. 28.
Wow.
See the difference?
yeah.
Completely different. 28, and was doing everything perfectly.
Wow.
Right?
And why is that? Is that because
He's just more sensitive.
More sensitive, right?
Yeah. Every dog is different. I could have 2 Rottweilers. One can be at 70,
Yeah.
and the other one could be 25.
Wow.
And they're responding the same, but one just doesn't listen until 70.
Right.
You see that? It's just like with kids. Some kids are like me growing up. Like I needed firmer, I would say corrections where I was being spanked and stuff like that,
Okay.
right? But I have friends that are softer personalities, and all they needed was to be scolded. You know what I mean?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
it's just-
crazy.
they're softer, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the dog. Every dog's different. So one dog could have a lower
enough.
number where another dog has a higher number.
Yeah.
But all of that stuff I figure out. And like if you did in-person training, I help you figure it out.
Right.
So then you learn, you go, okay,
I got
But
you.
that's why we always start low and we work our way up because I can never predict what a
Right,
dog's setting is
right.
going to be. Yeah.
Okay.
So with the daycare and train, it's kind of like what I think the puppy head starts, what he did before, right?
Yes.
It's the same thing. You drop him off in the morning.
Perfect.
And then you pick him off later in the day.
Yeah. The last time, I don't know why I misunderstood the time, the hours, and I
Oh.
was bringing him way later. And then not until I finished.
The later half,
they-
I remember,
they-
yeah.
they
'Cause I
told-
think I talked to you on the phone.
Yeah, it was just me, maybe a bunch of stuff, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I would have known, I could have brought him like earlier, but that was my fault.
Yeah.
I would have brought him early. But
Yeah, that's not a
but
problem.
either way, he did good. I mean, I think you guys did pretty well with him. So
Thank you. Yeah, so you can drop him off Monday through Friday as early as 7.
okay,
And then you can pick them up as late as 7, right? But then if you picked up after hours, there's just like a late pickup fee.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
for the
just
weekends,
like the
yeah,
same.
yeah.
Okay.
And then on
What's
so
your? I'm sorry. What's the earliest between Monday through Friday?
it's 7 o'clock.
7
You can
and-
you can drop off as early as 6:30, but there's just an early drop off fee
Okay.
there. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Saturday and Sunday we open at 8. Earliest would be 7:30, but then there's the early drop off.
And then they leave at 7, right? Or,
On
or
Saturday and Sunday it's 6.
6, and Monday through Friday is 7, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So he could be here for 12 hours a day, right?
Technically, yeah. If you
Right.
dropped off at 7 and picked up
Okay.
right at 7, yep, you can
Okay.
do that. Yep, yep.
No, I didn't see any prices, or I mean,
They're on there.
Okay.
So I don't know them off the top of my head, but Tina would send you the prices.
Okay.
And it also says the price, what is taught, what you get, and
Okay.
then the follow-up lessons as well.
Okay.
And then you get a video.
Okay.
Which is different from the puppy head start.
right.
So with the daycare and trains and the boarding trains, for each week that we have the dog, you get one video.
Okay.
Okay.
Got
So
it.
if we have them for example, 10 days, which is the daycare equivalent of the 2 weeks, you would get 2 videos.
Okay.
The first week video is always the longest, anywhere between an hour and a half
Okay.
to 2 hours. Okay,
Okay.
if not longer, because I'm teaching everything.
Right.
Okay. And I explain heel, sit, down, come,
Right,
place. I
nice.
teach it all, exactly.
Okay.
So you can watch it and go, this is how Guapo learned.
Okay.
And it's the first session of everything.
Okay.
So he knows nothing.
Right.
Okay. So you're seeing him go from nothing to something.
Gotcha.
Week 2, if we have him for another week, we start to progress the training to the long leash. So we're already building towards off leash.
Okay.
This is him getting frustrated.
Now, what's the amount of weeks you recommend to?
Depends on how well trained you want him to be and how far along you want him to be.
Okay.
Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 weeks essentially, or for daycare it'd be 5, 10, 15, 20.
Okay.
Okay. The first week is what we call is a short leash foundation. Okay. Heel, sit, stay down, come place heel. Second week, we do off-leash foundation. So the dog's on a long leash doing all the same behaviors, but we're building towards off-leash, okay? The third week, if the dog is social, we do the training with the long leash in a group of dogs. So now there's distraction. If they're not social, we still do the training. We just have them around the dogs, but not in the group of dogs.
Got it.
The fourth week is they would be no leash in a group of dogs doing the training.
Okay.
Right, so we're working with distractions actively. So if we have a dog for 4 weeks, they're just as close to off leash, right? So
Right.
technically they are off leash trained with us,
Right.
right? Then we have to transfer that over to you. So that's where you have the videos, and that's
Right.
also where you have your follow-ups. So you get follow-up sessions with
Okay.
me in person, correct?
Okay.
Okay. So because there's always going to be stuff that the video it explains it, but it's hard to grasp it sometimes, right?
Okay.
So then you go, hey Jesse, his sit's good, his stay is good, his place is good, his heel's really good, but we have problems with recall. It's pretty common. Okay.
Okay.
You set up a follow-up, and then I go, show me what you're doing, right? And you show me, and I go, okay, this is where you're making the mistake,
Yeah.
and I help you fix
Okay.
those mistakes or whatever. Okay?
Now, at home we have a cage. Do you recommend that, or?
Yeah, like
we still use it. We only use it like if we're cleaning, we'll put them in there, or if we leave to the stores or we leave the house. My wife works from home, so she keeps him out.
Sure.
And he has his bed, and at night he sleeps in his bed now. So, but before we used to have to like put him in a cage.
Sure.
We still have to kind of put a gate, so because he tries to sleep in the sofa.
Yeah,
But-
so for crates.
But I don't know if that's something that's I don't. What I'm asking is, will that like is that anything part of training? Like, will it affect his training? Should we keep him? His cage is fine, right? It doesn't matter, right?
I usually recommend that for whenever you get a dog, that the first year is in the kennel.
Okay.
Like when you're gone
Yeah,
overnight.
right.
With puppies, reasons are potty training, right?
Right.
If they're left to free roam, they
Right.
can just pee on whatever. And then the other thing is they go through stages, like the teething stage, right? So if you leave a 6-month-old puppy home alone, chances are you're going to come home and things are destroyed.
Yeah.
Right. So a year and 2 months, because typically at the earliest you'll get a puppy at 2 months, right, is when we start experimenting with no kennel.
Okay.
In some cases, some dogs just can't handle it. You leave them out of the kennel, they just destroy stuff.
Okay.
But you leave them in the kennel, they're
Right.
completely fine.
Yes.
Then I go, in that case, the dog just needs to be kenneled. In other cases, the dog learns to adapt and they don't destroy stuff. And then if the client wants, they can leave the dog free roam, right?
Got it.
Even if we adopt the dog, let's say you get a dog at 2 years old, the first year of that dog's life is still kenneled.
Gotcha.
Okay, because they have to get used to the routine. I've had clients where they adopt the dog. The next day they go to work, they leave the dog free, and they come home,
my God.
destroyed everything.
Jeez.
Right? And I go, that's why we don't do that.
That's
Okay?
crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I had a guy, the dog chewed up like all the drywall, like 4 feet up.
I've seen those videos, and I can't
destroyed the
believe.
doorknob,
But
yeah.
I think there is dogs that are born different or a little more.
Yeah, and it's stressful because the human
Oh, yeah.
understands. Oh, I'm rescuing you, and then giving you a home.
Right,
The
right.
dog's just like, I was here, now I'm there. I don't know what to do with this.
Right,
And
exactly, yeah.
And they freak out. So,
All right.
so yeah, it just comes down to how well trained you want them to be, and then also how much work you want to do. Obviously, there's always going to be work. There's also always going to be some level of regression.
Right.
Because with us, we're strict here. But then he goes back home. He's like, "Hey guys, right? It's family, right?
Right,
And
right.
so you have to then show him
Continue that, yeah.
exactly. So if we have the dog longer, like so Brody's a 4-week. Ajax, who just got dropped off earlier today, is also a 4-week because both owners wanted a completely off-leash trained dog, and they wanted as little homework as possible post the training. But I told them both there's still going to be homework. It's just so the dog can already do it, but then you have to learn to use those, features like I
Right.
said earlier for the dog.
Of course.
It's very weird when you're trying to walk your dog off leash because you're so used to having a leash and stuff. Like there's things like that people don't think about.
Yeah.
And I use it as an example before. Where I told someone like you could buy $100,000 dog. Like there's dogs that are like $250,000,
Well,
right?
of course, yeah.
And screw it up in a couple of weeks
Wow.
just because you're not doing anything correctly. You're doing like the dog is constantly learning, right? So like I said earlier, if the dog needs 90 but the owner does 65, the dog's learning that. So the dog goes, "Oh, I don't need to take you seriously because you don't go to 90."
I see.
You see that? Like
Yeah.
right now, you see how patient I'm being with him?
Yeah.
Right? He's learning that. He's
Yeah.
going, "Man, as much as I try, like Jesse does not give up."
Right.
And then the more I have him, the longer I have him, like me personally,
Right.
the more I influence him. And then he realizes, okay, this is not an option because I know Jesse will do it 1,000,000 times.
Right.
You see
so
that?
we got to keep up with that
Yeah,
too.
but then the moment I give him back to you, go
Right,
right back to
right.
being crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
As for now, no. I guess one of my questions was, but I think we would have to wait until see how he progresses, and see like let's say I do the 4 weeks or whatever. I definitely want to do like a long training, but after that, do you keep up? Like, do you come once every 2 months? Do you recommend to bring him or just keep up with this training at home?
Keep up with it.
Right.
What keeps training functional is that you use it every day.
Right.
So what people do is they train the dog, and then they live life for a few weeks, and then one day they go, "Today we need you to do the stuff that we taught you."
That's not how it works. Yeah.
It's if you don't use it, you lose it, right? Kind of applies.
Right,
They
right.
never fully forget. They get sloppy,
Okay.
right? If you ask me to do algebra, I can't do algebra, man. It's been 20 years. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
But back when I was in high school and I was doing it every day,
Right.
I could go, sure, yeah, what's the problem? And I could solve it, right?
Gotcha.
So, but when you have a trained dog, you're just using your training, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to take him for a walk, heel. Oh, I'm going
Yes.
to let him run around the park, chase squirrels, come. Oh, I'm
Right.
going to work from home, go to your bed, don't move, right? Oh, we're going
Right.
to eat dinner, lay down and don't leave my side,
Yeah.
right? That's how you use it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be you using it outside all the time.
Right.
Use it inside.
Yes.
When you're in the yard and he's, running around in circles, get over here,
Right.
right? Or sit, boom, stop what you're
Yeah.
doing.
And that's exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
We try to everything that doesn't work.
So when you're using it regularly,
Yeah.
then the one day where it's like, oh crap, I actually need you to do it, he's gonna do it
Right.
because you're doing it all the time. Because people tend to think, like, oh, my dog's running away from a firework. Now I need you to come to me, but it's not gonna happen, right? But if I'm using come every day, at least once a day, and I do it 1,000 times, and then the one day he's running away, I'm like, oh, I really need you to listen. It's gonna work because I did it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's why here, it looks like she's in the middle of a rotation. We see those dog beds there, on the top right screen,
Yes.
right? So dogs are doing duration work right now. So as a part of the daily activity, like they have to go to the beds and not move for an hour.
Okay.
In some cases, it's longer, like if I'm training the dog.
Yeah.
Right. But we have dogs playing. We have dogs on treadmill, as you can see up on the top right there.
Yes,
Right. So they're using that skill every day while they're here, right?
Okay.
And then if we have dogs that we've trained and we're like moving them from like the kennel room to the activity room, we're using the heel, right? So we're also actively using the training. We're not training the dog. Dog's been trained. We're just reinforcing the training by using it, and that keeps it also functional.
A routine, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in the beginning, it's effort on your part because you have to learn things, you have to implement them, right? But once you get used to it, it just becomes like second nature.
Right.
You know, like for me, if you give me a dog, I can't hold the dog and let it, like with Guapo, like I was like, let me take the leash, right? Even though he's still overstimulated, right? You can see him little by little calming down. I just right away go into controlling.
Yeah.
Whereas most people just let the dog do whatever.
Right.
But that's the difference.
Right.
You know, that's why the dogs listen to me, because they
Right.
go, well, the moment you took the leash, right away you started telling me what to do.
Right.
Right. Whereas most people, it's you give them the leash and they just let the dog do what they want.
Right.
And now that becomes a relationship.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first impressions, you know.
Right. Exactly. You got to keep up that.
Like, you're with a kid, right?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
got to keep up that discipline with
people, too.
everybody.
You know, because I remember growing up with when we were doing like they're teaching us how to go on interviews and stuff. Like it was eye contact, good handshake, like make a good first impression. You know what I mean? It's the same thing for dogs. So if I give Guapo to somebody and they go, oh my God, Guapo, and they start petting him and stuff like that, right? And then he's like, okay, like I'm gonna lead here because you're soft.
Right.
Right, but if you give him to somebody and he starts doing like what I'm doing, Guapo
Yeah.
starts to learn. Okay, like you're not gonna let me
Yeah.
get away with it. So,
I get it.
other
Sounds
questions.
good. No, just that. I think we're good, ready to roll.
So Tina can send you the pricing.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
If you do, like I had a client, they did 2 weeks of board and train,
Okay.
and then they got another dog, and that dog they did 3 weeks, but then they wanted the first dog to do 2 more weeks of training, and they ended up paying I think like $1,000 more. But if they would have just committed up front to a 4-week with that first dog, it would have been cheaper.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you can do like 10 if you wanted, and then another 10. It would just be a little bit cheaper. Well, not cheaper, more expensive. But if you go, oh, I just want the 20-day or the 4-week, whatever,
Okay.
then it's cheaper up front because you're saying I
Right.
want to do it all
Yes.
at once. Yeah.
Yes.
In
Yeah,
terms,
just like the puppy one, I guess.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
With the with the scheduling the day, so Tina does my calendar like this, but then Maria is the one that handles like the facility. So you'd book which days you want to bring him.
Oh,
okay?
it's not like before, like where you just bring them and they count the days, right?
Right. Because with
No,
the
it's-
puppy, anybody could work with the
Oh,
puppy.
I see.
But for this,
Okay.
I have to record everything.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So
Gotcha.
then I have to be here. There's certain days
Yeah.
where it doesn't matter because I don't have to record.
Okay.
But if you want to get the first week video faster, then I always suggest 3 days in a row.
Okay.
Because it takes me 3 days to film everything. Then I edit it and I put it up together and I email you the link.
Okay.
Okay. And then from there you can start reviewing. The daycare and train is also meant to work in tandem with the owner. So once you get that first week video, you watch it and little by little you start using the training.
Okay.
Okay. And then like let's say you come back and it's like day 7 and you're like, hey, like his recall needs some work. Like, okay, cool. So we start to work on the recall a little bit more
Okay.
while he's here. Like you're kind of telling us what
Right.
you think he's kind of sloppy on.
Okay.
And then when you drop him off, we work on that stuff while we're
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of meant to work with you.
Awesome.
With the board and train, we have the dog 24/7 for X amount of weeks, right? So like Brody I have for 4 weeks straight. Ajax I have for 4 weeks straight. Whereas with the daycare and train, you drop them off in the morning,
Yeah.
pick him up in the
He
evening.
gets to stay home, right?
Exactly,
Gets to
he
go
gets
home.
to come back home. And like
Yeah.
let's say you do the first 3 days in a row, Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, you give him a day off, and then you like, I'll bring him back next week, right?
Okay.
Then you just schedule it like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Other questions?
And then the whole e-collar, I order that, right?
Tina will send you the link. So if you get it through us, it's 10% off.
Okay.
So it runs around 340-ish without tax, or
Okay.
sorry, with tax. After the discount, it runs down to like 307-ish.
Okay. That's fine.
You also, just so you know, get 10% off all our retail here
Oh, cool.
as a client. So
Okay.
if like you got food that you feed them, you get 10% off.
Okay.
My wife runs specials. Like she had a 30% off special
Okay.
for like, because we have a Shopify that we just opened.
Okay.
So clients are now taking advantage of the 30% off.
Okay.
But as a training client, as a daycare client, you just automatically get 10% off.
Okay.
We also do custom orders for some clients. We have one in particular who has a very expensive food, and my wife's able to get it. and she gets it for them in bulk, which makes it a little bit cheaper. But then they also get 10% off, which makes it a little bit cheaper.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah. So if she can get it, she can do custom orders as well.
Like food, you mean like his food, right? For
Correct. Well, food, treats, toys, everything here is 10% off.
Okay.
But if there's a food that you get that's like a specialty food or something, if she's able to get it, then she can give you the discount.
gotcha.
Exactly. Because there's some foods now that are direct to consumer.
Yeah.
Like Farmer's Dog, I think. Like you're dealing directly with the company. That we can't get because they don't do wholesale.
Okay.
You know. But like like we do Akana, Stella and Chewy's, all that stuff.
Okay. Okay. Sounds great.
Anything else?
That's it for now. Yeah. No more questions. I guess we're ready to start.
How'd you guys hear about us in the first when he was a puppy?
Because I do driving, one of my customers told me about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're from Logan Square. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I got quite a few. I used to be in Logan Square.
Oh, okay.
Before we were here.
Oh, were you? Oh, cool.
Yeah. So in
Nice.
2019, September, I got the facility in Logan Square.
Okay.
And then we were doing good until March 2020 happened.
Oh, no way. Oh, yeah.
So I got
Dang.
my brick and mortar 6
Did
months
you
later.
end up leaving or?
No,
Or
we
would you?
figured it out.
Wow.
It was a 3-year lease.
Yeah.
And then we own this building, my wife and I.
Oh, awesome, man.
So I know somebody likes me up there because we got through COVID. We're able to make
Beautiful.
enough money to be able to buy our own property.
This is awesome. Yeah.
And here we are, you know. But I've been doing this 15 years.
That's great, man. Yeah. Well, so I heard from them, and then I looked you guys up. Were great reviews, and I said, why not? And I was happy with the puppy training, and I'm sure I'll be happy with what we have coming. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
It's a
excited.
big difference when we do big boy training.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited to get them trained.
Good.
So I
So
appreciate it.
Tino will send you all the pricings and stuff.
Yeah.
We'll probably just need an updated fecal because we've not seen them.
Okay.
'Cause I'm assuming all his vaccinations are up to
Yes,
date or whatever.
yeah.
So we'll just need a new a fecal because it's been a while.
Okay.
If we haven't seen a dog in more than 3 months, we ask the clients for a new fecal.
Okay, I'll get it done.
Yeah.
So I'll call his doctor and
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And then you can update the vaccination records or whatever. And then the contract is actually in the profile that you made for him. So
Okay.
you're good on that. She will just need to invoice you for a new
Okay.
program.
Okay.
And then the collar and everything like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Anything else?
That's it. We're ready.
All right. Well, I'm going to give them to you. She should get back to you within a day or so.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you email her first and say, hey, Tina, sign us up. We want the 4-week whatever.
Okay.
She'll get-